Hey students, lesson 10.6 here. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to do a couple of things. We're going to learn how to find the measures of central angles and arcs and to find the circumference and the arc length. Go ahead and do the review, some important definitions here. And also pay attention to the notation in this lesson. I'll check back with you. All right, first thing, we just have to get used to labeling arcs. Okay, and minor arcs are arcs that are less than 180 degrees, and major arcs are arcs that are greater than 180 degrees. So the minor arcs of C, circle C, are any of the ones that are less than 180. So there's one, arc AB, arc BE, arc ED, and arc AD. Okay, the semicircles are the ones that are 180 degrees, and there's one semicircle there, semicircle AE, and you can just label that AE, just like you would an arc. And then the other one is semicircle BB. And then the major arcs, those are arcs that have greater than 180 degree angles. And those would be ABD, and that's talking about this arc here. And another one is DBE, and that's going from D to B and then over to E. And another one would be AEB, and that'd be going this way around, AEB. And BAE is another major arc, and that would be going like this. All right, go ahead, you try that. All right, we can also talk about the arc measure. The measure of a minor arc is equal to the measure of its corresponding central angle. So we use degrees to measure arcs. The measure of a major arc is a measure of the related minor arc subtracted from 360. The measure of a semicircle is always 180. Okay, so go ahead and fill in 17 through 20, and I'll check back with you. These are actually labeled wrong. It should be saying when you want to find the measure of an arc, you use the letter M, and then you put the arc like TU next to it. This is actually talking about the lengths of those. So let's cross those out. And we'll just replace it with the proper notation. Okay, the measure of TU, that is just the number of angles, the number of degrees in that same angle that creates that arc. So TU is this one right here, and that's a 60 degree. So the measure of arc TU is 60. The measure of TR, TR is a semicircle, so that's 180. The measure of SU, that's this arc. And remember from what it set up that you can just add the arcs together. So the measure of SU is equal to the measure of arc ST plus the measure of arc TU, which is 20 plus 60, or 80. Okay, and the measure of RU is going to be, it's part of the semicircle, so we're going to take 180 minus the measure of arc TU, And the measure of arc TU was 60, so 180 minus 60 equals 120 for that one. All right, try that. Okay, just to review, circumference is diameter times pi, or 2 times the radius times pi. And the reason you can use either of those is because the diameter is equal to 2 times the radius. So the circumference can be written as pi times diameter, or substitute 2 times r for diameter. And you get 2 times the radius times pi. All right, so let's use that. It says a merry-go-round has seats that are 7 feet from the center of the ride and 10 feet from the center. How much further does a child seated on the outside loop travel? Let's say this is the outside loop, and let's say this is the seat, and that is 10 feet. And then there's an inside loop that's 7 feet. And so that's 7. How much further does the outside loop go than the inside? All right, so this is a circumference problem, and circumference is equal to, since we're given the radius, let's use 2 pi r. And so the outside is 2 times pi times 10. So let's call that C of outside. Inside is 2 times pi times 7. And we can simplify these. This is 20 pi. And this is 14 pi. And it says how much further. We're just going to subtract those two. If we left them in terms of pi, if we needed an exact answer, we would just do 20 minus 14 times pi, which is 6 pi. If we need an approximate, use our calculator, and we get about 19 feet. All right, you try that. All right, so finding the arc length. Now, arc length is different than the measure of an arc. The measure of an arc is degrees. The length of an arc is the length as far as like a straight line. So like how many feet long is it? And it's actually part of the circumference. So the formula is you take the product of the measure of the arc, which is the number of degrees of the arc, divided by 360, and the circumference of the circle. So go ahead and fill in 32 through 34. All right, so here's our notation for the length. We just write out the word arc, find that. And so we're going to find the length of arc CD. And to do that, arc CD is equal to the measure of arc CD, which means how many degrees it is, divided by 360, times the circumference. And the circumference, we're given the diameter here, so we're going to use the diameter times pi, so 9 pi. And the measure of arc CD is, since it's a right angle, that's just 90 degrees divided by 360. And we have to multiply that by 9 pi. And 360, 90 divided by 360 is 1/4. And so in terms of pi, it's just 9/4 pi, which if we approximate that, we get about to the nearest tenth, about 7.1 centimeters. Okay, so arc STR, and we're talking about the major arc here. So this one, all right. To find that, we need to take the measure of arc STR, which means how many degrees it is, divided by 360. We need to multiply that by the circumference of this. In this case, we're given the radius is 4, so we're going to double that to get the diameter. So times 8 pi. And to find this measure, we have to take 360, since it's a major arc, minus RS, which is 100, and divide that by 360, multiply that by 8 pi. If we simplify that fraction, or that number, with 360 minus 100 is 260 divided by 360. That equals 13/18 and 8 pi. And 13/18 times 8. If we leave this as a fraction, it's 52/9 pi. If we round that to the nearest foot, we get about 18.2 feet. All right, you try that. Okay, I see we're up to the lesson check. Go ahead and try that, and we'll talk about it next time we meet in class.